Hi, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Creative Careers, where we interview people who have arts-related careers from all over the place. And today we are interviewing a choreographer. Welcome, Jennifer Gordon.
Thank you, Hannah, for having me. I'm really excited to be here.
We are very excited to have you on. We haven't talked with a lot of folks who've done dance, so I would love for you to start off by just telling us, what does a choreographer do? And maybe specifically, what do you do as a choreographer?
So my job is not just as a choreographer, but also a ballroom dance instructor. So I make my living teaching mainly adults how to ballroom dance. I also do a lot of choreography for ballroom dancing, whether that is for wedding dances, for the bride and groom, for the mother-son, for the father-daughter. We do a lot of business there. And just, again, choreography for, I do a ladies performance team. We have a couples performance team. I choreograph for my individual students for showcases and performances. And I've done choreography for cabaret shows and church passion plays and musical theater. So anytime somebody needs to look like they know they're dancing something, I am one of the people to call in my area.
Awesome. Tell us a little bit about how you got here. What was your journey, and did you do dance very young? How did you end up doing this?
So I did do dance very young. Like most, I think most little girls go through their I want to be a ballerina phase. So I was 3 when I was plopped into my first dance class, and about 4 the first time I was on stage. And I danced for about 10 years when I was a kid. Jazz tap ballet, and then a lot of jazz. Then, ironically, my knees gave out on me when I was, so it's quite a journey. So when I was about 12, my knees, uh, they started giving me a lot of problems, and my doctor told me you have to give up dance. So I did give up dance. And in high school, I did a lot of theater, and I went to college for theater. I majored in acting, much to the chagrin of my parents and everybody who said, you're not going to be able to get a job as a performer. Uh, that's not a way to make a living. And I said, I don't care, I love it. So went to school for theater, did do professional theater for a while after I graduated from college, but that is a hard life. It's a fun life, but it's not, where I live in New England, a way to make a full living. So I would do shows at night, school matinees in the morning, and I had a job, like a real job during the afternoons where I worked at an art gallery. So I'm doing theater, and I love it. And then I fall down and I need knee surgery. And and again, they said, have you been dancing? And I said, well, only a little, because I do theater. And they said, you got to stop dancing. And so I did. I stopped dancing and I stopped performing. And I made my living for a long time as a painter. And then I was living in the Midwest, and there was a ballroom dance studio 1 block from my house that I walked by every single day when I was walking to Starbucks. And I had never done ballroom dance in my life. Every other kind of dance, but not ballroom. And I walked by, and one day I decided I'm going to just take a lesson just to see what it's like. And I fell in love with ballroom dancing, like that Fred and Ginger. You guys are probably so young, you don't know who Fred Astaire and Ginger Rogers are, but if you look them up on YouTube, that is kind of the epitome of old school partner dancing, things like the foxtrot and tango and waltz. So I learned how to do those things, and after I'd been taking lessons for about 3 weeks, I competed for the first time, and I became the top amateur in the state that I was living in. And I got the bug. I loved it. And strangely, ballroom dancing wasn't that hard on my knees. Ballroom dancing is something that you can start when you're very young, but most people start it when they're older. So it's not as much impact on the body. I was an amateur ballroom dancer for about 6 months, and the studio I was taking lessons at hired me because I had a good personality and I loved what I was doing. So that's when I became a professional dancer late in life. And so since then, because I was like, 30s when that happened, which is unheard of, I think, to become a professional dancer anytime past the age of, I don't know, 16 maybe. So, but ballroom dancing is a different avenue. You can have it as a career for a lot longer than being a ballet dancer or being a jazz dancer or something like that. And so from teaching, I started choreographing, like I said, for my students, and then it went from there. And it was a really a wonderful way to explore storytelling in a nonverbal way. As I've been babbling for a while, so I think everybody senses that I am very verbal. So it was a good exercise for me to create stories specifically for individuals, for people, for my students. So I never choreograph something that is generic that I think is for everybody. I know the people I'm choreographing for. I ask them questions. I get to the heart of who they are, and I try to explore that through dance.
That is,
Did I answer the question?
oh, absolutely, absolutely. No, that was perfect. That was that was great. Yeah, I love how you talk about how you've done a little bit of everything. You've done theater, and you've done painting, and you've done performing, and you've done teaching.
And I wrote a novel.
And that's what I'm finding, that a lot of artists, even though they may specialize in one, they are interested in a lot. So I'd love to hear, specifically maybe between choreography and dance performing for ballroom dance, what makes each one of those, what makes those either unique among other dance options? Like I know you talked about ballroom dancing having less impact on the body. What are some other things that really make it pop for you? And then how does choreography versus performance, what part of your soul does that feed differently from the other?
Okay. So the thing I love so much about ballroom dancing uh, isn't the competitive ballroom dancing that you see on Dancing with the Stars. It's taking two people and having them be able to communicate with each other without telling the other person what to do. So I work with a lot of wedding couples or married couples, and my favorite are the people that have been married for 30, 40 years, and they have a very distinct dynamic relationship, and that you kind of have to throw out when you're on the dance floor. You have to go in like a very blank slate. So it's an interesting way to teach people to communicate with their partner in a different way, and and you see different aspects of people's personalities come out, like the gentleman who is very shy normally, all of a sudden teach him to tango, and there's a character to every dance. And these people who are, they might have regular day jobs where they sit at a desk all day like most people, but then at night they come to the dance studio and they are a tango dancer. They're James Bond. So to me, I think ballroom dancing has so many different dances under that one umbrella that it teaches you a variety of characters and ways to explore your personality. And dancing is also very social, so it gives people a really incredibly healthy, physically healthy, mentally healthy activity to do. Especially, I know I'm talking to kids right now, but when you get to be a certain age, just like being a grown-up, there's very little activities for us to do besides, eating or going someplace and drinking something. And that's not super healthy to do every day of the week. So being a dance teacher and a choreographer, like, we get to give people a reason to get out of the house, meet new people, and discover parts of their personality that they didn't know they had. and that brings me to the choreography part, because I do a lot of shows. We do, like, at the dance studio I work at, once a month we have a ball, a big party where everybody dresses up. There are theme parties, everything from, you know, steampunk to Kentucky Derby to Old West to you name it, we've done it. 80s parties, 70s parties, rockabilly parties. And our students dress up, and we theme up performances and dance pieces specifically towards those nights. So it's fun to see people who are not normally performers become performers when you give them choreography, which choreography is just a fancy word for, you know, a dance routine. And my job is to create that dance routine that makes them look the best they can look and feel the best they can feel. So to me, I love choreographing because I get to take myself out of the equation. It's not about me. It's not, do I like to do this? Am I going to look good in this? It's about giving my students or my clients the best possible experience for them. And that I love. I think the choreographer in me is the same person as the novelist in me, the story writer. And it's fun to put the performer on the shelf for a little while and focus on somebody else. That's my favorite.
That's super cool. So as you talk about getting into ballroom a little bit later, what were, having done all these other dance dance classes and dance styles, what was something that that you really had to learn that was new to you going into this, a
Oh
set of skills that were
gosh.
different?
Honestly, the hardest thing for me to do was to learn how to follow. So if people don't know what ballroom dancing is, there's a leader and a follower. Traditionally, it's the man is the leader and the woman's the follower, but uh, I dance with other women all the time. I dance with little kids. The leader's whoever's the one in charge of making the other person do the dance moves. So as somebody who had been a dancer but always danced by myself, I never had to follow. I never had to wait for a physical cue before I moved. So that was the hardest thing for me to learn, I think, because I was used to just moving whenever I wanted to move. When the beat was happening, I would know to go. But in ballroom dancing, you have to wait for your partner, because it's, you know, I tell all my students, all my clients, it's a partnership, not a passenger ship. So you can't just sit there and you know, do your own thing. You're not on a cruise. So that was the hardest thing. It wasn't a physical thing to learn. It was very much like a psychological and emotional thing to learn, because it also teaches you trust in whoever your dance partner is. And I dance with a lot of people, so it taught me to trust people, and to also trust myself. When I learned how to lead eventually, I had to trust myself that I could lead my partner through a crowded dance floor and not accidentally bump her into a wall or another couple. And I had to trust myself that I would remember the steps, and and I would still be having a good time. And so that was the hardest, learning to follow and trust.
Yeah. So this is going out when a lot of students are still at home and
Yes.
dance studios aren't open for most.
Nope.
You know, maybe by the time it gets out, some places will be, but most places will not be. So, what would be something that if somebody was interested in pursuing ballroom dance, that what is something that they could do from their homes today to work on one or more of these skills?
So first, I would say go to YouTube. There are tons of tutorials, beginner level tutorials. Even my dance studio out of New Hampshire, which is letsdancenh.com or Let's Dance NH on YouTube. We have my dance partner, who's also my fiance. He and I recorded a lot of beginner level tutorials when COVID hit. So our students could still keep practicing. But before you even, because you kids, you're probably hearing this and going, ballroom dancing, oh, that sounds boring. Or maybe some of you are thinking it's exciting, because it is. I would even, before you look up ballroom dancing, look up all sorts of dancing, different kinds of dancing. Look up, hip hop, what that looks like. It's everywhere. Look up belly dance, look up tribal fusion, look up cumbia, look up reggaeton. There's so many cool dances out there, and they're all so unique, and they all have such character that you might, if you're at home and bored, give yourself an hour, start looking at dance. You might see something that inspires you. So ballroom dancing inspired me, but you could be watching it and see that you're really, really inspired by tribal fusion, which is a kind of belly dance mixed with contemporary techno music, or has some hip hop influences. It's gorgeous. Just, I'd say, watch dance, watch all kinds of dance. And especially, I'm just going to say this, I'm going to shout out this one to all the boys and young men out there who probably don't think that dancing is as cool as all of us girls do. Learn to dance. Learn to dance. You'll never be bored. And it's great. It's great. It's great for everybody. It keeps your mind young. You're young now, but when you get older, you're going to start forgetting things, and dancing will help you not forget things. It'll keep you in shape. So watch dance, think about it. Ballroom dance studios are always hiring. And it is a good career. I was telling Hannah, our wonderful host, before we started, before COVID hit, this was my full-time job for the past 10 plus years. I've been Monday through Friday a dancer and a choreographer, and I'm in New Hampshire, which isn't the mecca of the world as far as the dance world. So wherever you are, you could be in the middle of nowhere, cities, little towns that don't really have much of a performance scene. That doesn't mean you can't dance, and that doesn't mean you can't make a living dancing, or in any of the arts, really.
That's super fantastic. Thank you so much, Jennifer, for
Thank
sharing
you.
your knowledge and your expertise with us. This has been great.
It was fun. I've been doing a lot of podcasts about my book that came out, so it was really exciting to just actually talk about my real job.
Yeah, we really appreciate it.
Thank
all right,
you.
and all you viewers, thank you so much. And don't forget to tune in again tomorrow at 1 p.m. for more Let's Be Creative Arts content. We'll see you then.